As we just reported, the British Parliament today rejected Prime Minister Theresa May's proposed Brexit deal for the third time. She lost by nearly 60 votes, 286 to 344, although that margin was narrower than her previous two attempts. She vowed to keep trying to convince Parliament to approve her version of the UK's divorce from the European Union. But leaders are deeply divided over the Prime Minister's promise to soldier on, over calls for a new election, over revoking Brexit entirely, and a second referendum.
This government will continue to press the case for the orderly Brexit that the result of the referendum demands.
The House has been clear. This deal now has to change. There has to be an alternative found. And if the Prime Minister can't accept that, then she must go, not at an indeterminate date in the future, but now, so that we can decide the future of this country through a general election.
I suggest to the Prime Minister, we now must look seriously at the option of revocation.
The way out of this impasse, as many of us have been saying for months and months and months, we must have a people's vote now.
Well, that clear lack of consensus has not only prevented Brexit from proceeding, but it's frustrated members of the Cabinet, members of Parliament, and the British public. Today, thousands filled the streets outside Parliament to protest for Brexit. Demonstrators argued that the UK was supposed to leave the EU today and chanted the slogan, "Leave means leave." To help sort all this out, we turn to Robin Niblett. He is the director of the London think tank Chatham House. Robin Niblett, welcome back to the NewsHour. So please explain, why did it fail again today?
Well, for the simple reason that Theresa May has been unable to convince, most importantly, the Democratic Unionist Party, the Irish group that are supporting her government. Their opposition has given coverage for another 30 or so Conservative MPs, a hardcore of very strong Brexiteers, to say they feel her deal is too soft. Her deal is one that's going to trap, they believe, the United Kingdom into an endless negotiation and stop the kind of cathartic Brexit they want. And of course, the Labour Party has remained strong. She was only able to pull over 5 Labour MPs from the other side. So the net is she's lost again, but it has been a change from a 230-seat loss, a 149-seat loss, and now a 48-seat loss. So it is getting closer, 58-seat loss. It's getting closer, but still far away.
So the deadline was to be today. That's now gone by the boards. Now we're told the deadline is April the 12th. Why that date?
Well, what's important is that the European 27, the other 27 member states, have said that they've given a new Brexit date of April the 12th because that would fall one day after the date by which the British Parliament would need to call European parliamentary elections. So they've said, if you want us to extend the negotiation beyond April 12th, you guys need to participate in the European parliamentary elections, which will take place between May 23rd and May 26th. The latest date by which the British Parliament can set that process in motion of those elections is April the 11th. And so today, the European Council President Donald Tusk has called a special EU summit for April the 10th in preparation for waiting to see what the British government will tell them, and they can decide what they're going to do next.
So one cliffhanger after another. The EU is saying we could extend this, but only for a, quote, meaningful reason. What does that mean?
Well, they've got to feel that they're not just going to get dragged into sort of endless months of British parliamentary being stuck. They want to know that if they're going to extend it, it's for a purpose. And the kind of purpose we talk about here is if the Prime Minister decided to call, for example, a general election around her deal or around some other deal, or if these indicative votes that have been taking place since last weekend or since Monday earlier this week, and which are likely to happen again on Monday this week, that's coming up, is there likely to be some type of big change in there that she could go back to the European Council with? Might there be a call for a second referendum? Right. Might there be a different type of future deal that Parliament can get behind, even if Theresa May has not got behind it? Those would be the kind of changes.
So in terms of what they're going to be voting on Monday next week, does any one of those choices have the makings of a consensus?
Look, none of them got through when they were voted on Wednesday this week. What that was, however, was a kind of exercise of throwing paint at the wall, see what's going to stick, what doesn't. The most popular one, it seemed, in terms of the one that came closest to having a majority, was for what's called having a permanent customs union. And that was tying a Brexit Britain that's already left, into a permanent trading relationship, a customs union. However, the one that got most votes, even though it had quite a bit of opposition, was for what's called a confirmatory referendum. In other words, Labour members might accept Theresa May's deal, providing it is then put to a referendum with an option for the British public to vote to remain if they don't want Theresa May's deal. That also came very close. So Parliament is trying to find its way around to a solution that doesn't mean going back fully on the last referendum, doesn't mean giving up on Brexit, but is trying to tweak Theresa May's deal to something that looks a lot softer or that could come up with a referendum. Those seem to be the two options that are emerging as the strongest.
And so there could be another referendum, but it would be a different format, if you will. What about Theresa May herself? What is her fate coming through this?
She has said that if people back her withdrawal deal, if they simply back the process of Britain leaving the EU, she will then step down as the leader of the Conservative Party, give Conservative MPs an opportunity to elect a new leader who would then negotiate the future relationship. You've got to remember, all we're trying to do here is leave. And let's actually get the leaving part done. The future relationship, although there's a vague political declaration, is still there to be negotiated. So she said, back my deal, I'll step down, I'll let somebody else come forward. So she's in a very precarious position at the moment. She just wants to deliver Brexit, then step back.
Robin Niblett, we're all on the edge of our seats, and thank you for helping make it understandable.